everyone. Welcome back to English in Real Life. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Mark. Really glad you're here with us today. And this topic, I have to say, got very interesting in our planning meeting.
It really did, because Mark and I actually disagree on this one, which makes for a much better conversation, honestly.
Much better. So today we are asking a question that is coming up more and more in conversations around the world, especially among people in their 20s and 30s. Do younger generations prefer having kids now or pets?
Yeah, and before anyone switches off, this is not just about lifestyle choices. It is about shifting values, economic realities, and some really fascinating changes in the way young people think about family, commitment, and fulfillment.
And of course, a lot of great B2 vocabulary along the way.
Let's get into it.
So Sarah, let's start with what the data actually shows, because the numbers here are genuinely striking. Birth rates in most developed countries have been falling steadily for decades. In countries like South Korea, Japan, Spain, and Italy, they are at historic lows. Meanwhile, pet ownership has been rising sharply. In the United States alone, around 70% of households now own a pet, and a large proportion of those owners are young adults.
And when you ask young people directly, surveys consistently show that a growing number of them either do not want children at all or are choosing to delay having them significantly. While at the same time, many of them describe their pets as their family. Some even use the term fur babies.
Fur babies. And look, I think it is easy to dismiss that as a trend or a joke, but I actually think it reflects something real and worth taking seriously. The emotional bond people have with their pets is genuine. The care, the responsibility, the attachment, it is real.
Absolutely. And I do not think anyone should feel judged for the choices they make about their own life. But I do think it is worth asking, what is driving this shift? Because I do not think people are simply choosing pets over children because pets are more fun. I think there are much deeper reasons behind it.
So what are those reasons? The first one, and probably the most significant, is financial. Raising a child is extraordinarily expensive. Studies in the United States suggest that raising a child from birth to 18 costs on average over $300,000. And that does not include university.
For and young people today are facing economic pressures that previous generations simply did not face at the same age. Housing costs have increased dramatically. Student debt is significant. Job security is less predictable. Many young adults in their late 20s are still working hard just to feel financially stable, let alone ready to support a child.
Whereas a pet, while certainly not cheap, is a much more manageable financial commitment. You can provide a good life for a dog or a cat on a relatively modest budget. And if your circumstances change, you have much more flexibility.
The second reason is lifestyle. Younger generations, and I say this without judgment, tend to place a high value on personal freedom, on travel, on career development, on maintaining their social lives and their sense of identity. Having a child fundamentally changes all of that. It is a permanent, life-altering commitment.
And a pet, Arcees, while it does require care and responsibility, allows for a level of flexibility that children simply do not. You can leave a dog with a friend for a weekend. You can travel with a cat if needed. The level of dependency is simply not comparable.
And then there's the emotional dimension. A lot of young people feel genuine anxiety about bringing children into the world right now. Climate change, political instability, economic uncertainty, these are real concerns that genuinely affect how young people think about the future. Some openly say they do not feel it would be fair to bring a child into the current state of the world.
And I understand that, I really do. But I also think, and this is where I disagree a little, that these concerns, while valid, have always existed in some form. Every generation has faced uncertainty. Every generation has had reasons to feel anxious about the future. And yet, life continues, children grow up and contribute to solving the very problems their parents worried about.
That is a fair point. And I think the honest answer is that this is not a simple either-or question. Many young people who have pets right now are not necessarily ruling out children forever. They are simply at a stage of life where a pet fits better, where they are not yet ready, financially, emotionally, or practically, for the enormous commitment that parenthood requires.
And that is probably the most nuanced way to look at it. It is less about choosing pets over children and more about choosing pets for now, using that time to become more stable, more settled, more ready.
Although, and this is worth saying, some people genuinely do not want children. And that is a completely valid choice, too. The idea that having children is the default, and that not having them requires an explanation, is itself changing.
Absolutely. Society's expectations around family are shifting, and younger generations are in many ways redefining what a fulfilling life looks like. For some people, that includes children. For others, it does not. And for a growing number, it includes a very beloved dog or cat instead.
Or both. Plenty of people manage both very well.
True, very true. Okay, vocabulary time?
Let's go.
See. First compound word, birth rate, stress on birth. The birth rate is the number of births per 1,000 people in a population over a given period. The birth rate in many European countries has fallen to historic lows. You will see this term regularly in news articles, economics, and social studies.
Lifestyle. Stress on life. Your lifestyle is the way you choose to live, your habits, values, priorities, and daily patterns. Many young adults prioritize their lifestyle over starting a family early. A very common word in modern English, in journalism, in marketing, in everyday conversation.
Breakdown. Stress on break. A breakdown can mean the failure of a system or relationship, or a detailed analysis of something. The report provided a breakdown of the costs involved in raising a child. Both meanings are common and useful at B2 level.
Now, idioms. To rule something out. To rule something out means to decide that something is not possible or not going to happen. She has not ruled out having children. She is simply not ready yet. You will hear this constantly in news interviews and professional conversations. The doctor ruled out any serious illness. The company has not ruled out further changes. Very versatile.
To place a high value on something. To place a high value on something means to consider it very important, to prioritize it in your decisions and behavior. Younger generations tend to place a high value on personal freedom and flexibility. This is a formal but very natural expression, useful in essays, presentations, and professional discussions.
Life-altering. Stress on life. Something life-altering is so significant that it permanently changes the direction or quality of your life. Having a child is a life-altering decision that affects every aspect of your existence. You can describe events, decisions, experiences as life-altering. It carries a sense of permanent, deep change.
And finally, to redefine. Stress on re. To redefine something means to change the way it is understood or described, to give it a new meaning. Younger generations are redefining what a fulfilling family life looks like. A very useful verb in discussions about social change, technology, business, or culture.
Fall, birth rate, lifestyle, breakdown, rule out, place a high value on, life-altering, redefine. 7 B2 words and expressions that you will encounter regularly in articles, podcasts, and professional conversations. Pick one this week, use it in a real context, because that is how vocabulary moves from something you understand to something you genuinely own.
From recognition to real fluency, that is the journey.
That is everything for today's episode of English in Real Life. Thank you so much for being here.
Really appreciate it. Keep learning, keep growing, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. And let us know, are you team kids, team pets, or team both? We would love to hear.
Team both, obviously. See you next time.